Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive mystery in the business world, and it's one I'm willing to bet you've seen with your own eyes. So, why do brilliant plans fail? You know the scene, right? A company rolls out this amazing, well-researched strategy with a ton of fanfare, and then nothing. It just kind of fizzles out. So, what's going on there? Let's get into it. You know, the heart of the problem usually isn't the strategy itself. Nope, it's the implementation. And as we're about to see, success pretty much boils down to two things: the company's internal structure and, of course, its leadership. Think about an organization's structure, like its skeleton. It's what dictates how information flows, who gets to make decisions, and basically how work gets done. The thing is, once that skeleton is in place, it is incredibly difficult to change. And that's exactly why getting it right from the very beginning is so critical.
Okay, so if the structure is that big of a deal, how do you make sure it's actually helping your strategy, not getting in its way? How do you align the whole organization's structure with its goals?
Well, it really boils down to a pretty clear four-step process. First, you've got to identify the most critical tasks, the things that absolutely have to happen for the strategy to work. Then, you group those activities into logical teams or units. After that, you empower those teams by delegating authority. And finally, you have to put systems in place to make sure everyone is coordinated and working together. And this slide makes the whole idea really concrete. For example, if your strategy is to be the low-cost leader in the market, your whole structure has to be built for ruthless efficiency. But what if you're a luxury brand? Your goal is differentiation, so your structure needs to prioritize things like creativity and quality. The skeleton has to match the mission. It's as simple as that.
But here's the thing. Even with the absolute perfect structure, a plan is still just a blueprint on a piece of paper. It needs that key human element to actually bring it to life, and that's leadership.
I love this definition because it's so practical. It splits the leader's job into two distinct parts. First, you got to create a plan that can actually win. Second, and this is just as important, you have to have the ability to persuade other people to see it through, even when things get really tough. And this adds another really critical layer to the whole discussion. Management is about efficiency, doing things right. But leadership, that's about vision. It's about making sure you're focused on doing the right things in the first place.
And this one just illustrates the point perfectly. I mean, think about it. You can have the most efficient team on the planet, climbing that ladder faster than anyone else. But if their ladder is leaning against the wrong wall, all that incredible effort is completely wasted. A leader's number one job is to find the right wall.
The really crucial thing to get is that leadership is this constant balancing act. You're juggling three competing needs all the time: the task itself, the group as a whole, and each individual on the team. Great leaders find a way to harmonize all three. If you neglect any one of them, the whole system just starts to fall apart.
This brings us to leadership styles, and this is so important because the best leaders don't just have one single approach. They adapt. They change based on the situation and the people they're leading. There's just no one-size-fits-all. Your particular leadership style is really a blend of these 5 different dimensions. Think of them like sliders on a mixing board: how much risk you're willing to take, how much you rely on experts, how flexible you are, how much you involve your team, and, well, how you make sure things get done. When you mix and match those 5 dimensions, you end up with at least 7 distinct leadership styles. So, for instance, an entrepreneurial style is high on risk and flexibility. A conservative style, on the other hand, is low on both. And here's the key: neither one is inherently better than the other. It all comes down to context. And this is why that context matters so much. The best leadership style completely depends on the environment you're in. If you're in a turbulent, tech-heavy market, you need an entrepreneurial or a neo-scientific leader. A conservative approach in that situation, it would be a disaster. You have to match the style to the challenge.
So when you combine the right structure with that kind of adaptive leadership, you get way more than just a plan that gets executed. You start building something much more powerful and lasting, a winning culture where strategy can really thrive.
So what is culture? It's basically the organization's personality. It's the unspoken rules, how we do things around here. And it's not created by some motivational posters on a wall. It is shaped by the daily actions and the priorities of its leaders.
Take a look at this model of leadership skills. Notice that huge block in the middle? Human relations. It shows us that from junior management all the way to the senior execs, your ability to work with people is the most consistently critical skill you can have. Your technical skills matter less and less as you rise, but your people skills, they are always essential.
Building that culture means mastering a playbook of these simple but incredibly powerful actions. These are the daily habits that build trust, motivation, and a real sense of shared purpose. Praise in public, correct in private. Always say we, not you. Give credit away for success, but take responsibility for failure. Be there for your team.
And what's the bedrock of all this? The foundation of a winning culture is a shared commitment to ethics and values. This is what keeps people from taking dangerous shortcuts. It's what ensures you're aiming for sustainable, long-term success.
So at the end of the day, the journey from a plan on paper to a successful reality isn't about better documents or more complex charts. It's a fundamentally human endeavor, one that's built on a solid structure and brought to life by authentic, adaptive leadership.
And that brings us right back to that powerful metaphor, and it leaves us with one final crucial question to ask ourselves, our teams and our organizations. Are all of our efforts pointed in the right direction? Is our ladder leaning against the right wall?